Hola, it's Senor Nick DT here, Holmes, with another movie review. Psych. Actually, today I'm not going to do a movie review. No, I'm not going to. Today, I am going to tell you guys what were my top 10 favorite films of 2012, which was a very shitty year, but a very great year for movies. With my list, I will start at the bottom and work my way up to the top to tell you guys which one is my #1 favorite movie of last year. And here's my list right here. I will read off this list and tell you guys what the movie's about and why I love it. Starting at number 10, we have The Hobbit by Peter Jackson. He is now doing another trilogy in Middle-earth, which you know is pretty exciting. This is a prequel to Lord of the Rings. It stars Bilbo Baggins, which is played by, I forget what his name is, Martin Freeman. That's his name, Martin Freeman. He plays Bilbo Baggins, which we know is the old guy who goes crazy about the ring and, you know, the Fellowship. And he unites with Gandalf and a band of dwarves to go save the dwarves' kingdom, which has been taken over by a dragon, and it kind of starts off from there. And on the way there to get to the Dwarf Kingdom, they encounter a bunch of different misadventures and a bunch of enemies and whatnot. It is a pretty good movie. It's a very good looking movie. A complaint I have about it, it's not as impacting as Lord of the Rings, and it seems to be a little bit more for children. And there's actually a couple musical numbers in this movie. Like, I mean, they kind of work, but I mean, once the Goblin King starts singing, I'm like, this is too much. But still, great film, highly recommend it. At number 9, we have The Dark Knight Rises. This is Chris Nolan's third installment in the Batman trilogy, and I gotta say, it doesn't live up to The Dark Knight, but it's still a good watch. Christian Bale, he's Batman, of course, and he's stopped being Batman for about 8 years until this newcomer villain named Bane pops into the scene, and that's when he decides to unite with Catwoman, who is played by a very sexy Anne Hathaway, and they go to stop Bane, who has taken over Gotham. And I hope I haven't spoiled any of the movie. Not as good as The Dark Knight, I must say, but Chris Nolan's direction is beautiful, and there's a lot to love about this film, and it's a very worthy ending to a fantastic trilogy, I must say. Number 8 is The Avengers. This was such a... I don't know how to describe this movie. It's so freaking wild. You have all these great celebrities who play all these great superheroes. You have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Tony Stark. You have Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. You have Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, the Hulk. You have Jeremy Renner as Nighthawk. It's crazy, man, dude. And just the way it's directed, it's so much fun. Like, Joss Whedon, the director, who also directed Thor, he has a really great vision on the Marvel Universe, like, just to throw in fun and stuff we wouldn't expect to be in a superhero movie. It is in this movie, which, not to say that, you know, Ghost Rider: The Spirit of Vengeance wasn't creative, because it was. It's just, this movie is obviously more effective. Great superhero movie. I can't wait for a second one. Let's do this shit. Number 7, 007 Skyfall. Woo! I didn't see the 007 movie before this because I heard it sucked, but I was quite a bit of a fan of Casino Royale, and I love all the other James Bond films, so this was a real treat to see that it was actually really, really good. Sam Mendes, who's the director of American Beauty, he directs this, and he also directed Quantum of Solace, which wasn't very good, but his direction right here is just beautiful. The scenery, the performances, the action, just so beautiful. Daniel Craig is back as James Bond, 007. In the beginning of the film, he actually gets shot by his partner and is presumed dead, so he lays low for a while and just lives a normal life on a Caribbean island. I'm guessing it's for a long time, but the movie makes it seem like he was there for like maybe 3 days, maybe, you know, it's on a little mini vacation. After England is attacked by a terrorist, he must go in and figure out, who is doing this. He's not as good as a secret agent as he used to be since, he's been screwing hot babes on the Caribbean island for like 3 months or whatever, and he hasn't been really practicing his shooting. So he must get his head back in the game and find out who is attacking all these places, what's going on. He finds out these terrorist attacks are being planned out by like a cyber hacker who is played by a very wonderful Javier Bardem. He's so great in this movie. He plays the very first homosexual 007 villain, and he's a lot of fun in this movie. You can tell he's having a blast. And there's also a very disturbing moment in this movie with him. This is actually a very disturbing James Bond film in my opinion, which I don't mind because I like disturbing movies for some weird-ass reason, so works for me. Whee! Number 6 on my list is a very raunchy comedy, Ted. This is Seth MacFarlane's, who is the creator of Family Guy. This is his very first directorial debut, and it is just so freaking awesome. It's so funny. OMG. It's about a teddy bear who is played by Seth MacFarlane. He lends his voice to the character, and he is a living, talking, breathing teddy bear who is brought to life by Mark Wahlberg by a wish when he was a boy. Mark Wahlberg and him are like roommates and buddies, best friends. And this is kind of one of those movies where, you have the two best friends and the relationship starts falling apart because one of them has a woman and the woman interferes. And the woman in this case is very beautiful Mila Kunis, and all that kind of collides together. And I'm not going to spoil the rest of the movie because it's just something you have to witness. The jokes, everything. If you love Family Guy, everything you love about Family Guy is in this movie. You will not be disappointed. Number 5 is the French film Holy Motors. This film, I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to really spoil anything because it's probably the most absurd thing you will ever see. Well, actually, no, I have that wrong. There's one more movie on my list that might be a little bit more stranger. This film is by French director Léos Carax, and he isn't really that big in America, but I have a feeling after this movie he definitely will be. This movie is about a man named Oscar. He has a job playing several different people and personalities, dressing up as different characters and interacting with other characters. And I know that probably doesn't make sense, but I'm not going to spoil this movie for you because you need to go experience yourself. It is a great movie. The movie does get a little bit too absurd by the end of the movie, which I don't mind, but the absurdness isn't really explained. I feel like the director just threw in some of the strangeness for, just for shits and giggles. But it is a very entertaining film. It's a very beautiful film. I suggest you go see it. Number 4 is a very energetic, very heart-throbbing The Raid Redemption. This is a film by Gareth Evans. He's made a couple films. They've all been Indonesian for some reason, which it works, but it's kind of strange since he's not Indonesian. The Raid takes place in Indonesia, obviously. It's about a squad of policemen. They're like a SWAT team, and they go in to take over this apartment building that is run by this crime boss, and he has all the criminals in the city living in this one apartment building. There's like 300 criminals in there, serial killers, rapists, you name it, they're all in there. And so the SWAT team goes in to take over this building, and yeah, for the whole movie they have to fight off pretty much everybody who lives in this building, and the action almost never stops, and when it does stop, the movie is still intense. Great film, highly recommend it. Watch it. Number 3 is a very innovative Cabin in the Woods. This movie, I cannot tell you a whole lot about it, just like Holy Motors, otherwise it will ruin the experience. I will say it will change the way you watch horror movies like The Evil Dead and Friday the 13th. This film gives a very creative take on it. It's about these college kids. One of them is Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor, and him and his friends go to this cabin that his cousin used to own, and things just get strange from there. That's all I will say. Number 2 is a movie I have been anticipating all year, but unfortunately it wasn't my top favorite, but it is definitely one of my top favorites. This movie is Tarantino's Django Unchained. This movie is blaxploitation, spaghetti western. Let's make a sandwich. It is just amazing. Jamie Foxx plays Django, a slave who gets freed by a bounty hunter played by Christoph Waltz, and he takes him under his wing, shows him the ropes, and soon helps him to find his long-lost wife, who is also a slave played by Kerry Washington. The performances in this movie are fantastic. Leonardo DiCaprio, fantastic. Samuel L. Jackson, fantastic. And of course, Christoph Waltz is always great. Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington are also really good, but they're extremely underused. The direction of this movie is great. It makes you feel like you're watching a 70s film. It's just, oh, it's so freaking good. Go see it, even if you don't like the N-word, because you will be hearing it a lot, but it's worth it. Drum roll, please. The number 1 movie, in my opinion, 2012, is a very absurd film. And when I say absurd, I mean fucking weird. It's a film called Wrong. Yes, just that's the title right there, Wrong. W-R-O-N-G, Wrong. It is filmed by Quentin Dupieux. He's a French musician turned director, and I'm so glad he makes movies, because his movies are actually way better than his music, even though his music's pretty good. He directed this film called Rubber, and just to show how absurd Wrong is, Rubber is a movie about a rubber tire, that is alive and has telekinesis powers and goes around killing people in a desert town. Not kidding. No, I'm not smoking crack either. Wrong is about a man named Dolph. He is a man who works at a place that he got fired from a long time ago, but he still works there. And for some reason, water falls from the ceiling in this workplace, kind of to represent how drowsy and just awful work is, especially when you're working at an office. One day he finds out that his dog has gone missing, and he kind of goes on a journey to find who took his dog and where his dog is. This movie is extremely strange. The opening sequence, you will see a burning van with a fire truck next to it and firefighters, but none of the firefighters are putting the fire out. In fact, they are smoking weed, eating, talking, and one of them is taking a shit in the middle of the street. No, I am not kidding with you. There's just so much absurdness in this movie. It's so great. The performances are fantastic, and this is just insanity at its finest. I highly recommend this film. Give it a watch. So those are my top 10 films of 2012. Next video, I will be describing my top 10 anticipated movies of 2013, so stay tuned. This is Nick the Tick signing off, and remember, tricks are what whores do for money.